In exercise 6-4, we're going to look at putting together a cost formula again using the high-low method. We're just going to skip number 2 though because we're not going to do scatter graphs. Okay, so just as a reminder, I did shoot an earlier video showing you the 4 steps in order to do high-low, and we'll go through these 4 steps again today. So in order to do step 1, that is find the variable cost. And remember, we look at the highest and lowest activity level. So I'm just going to take my highlighter, and we're just looking at the unit shipped. That's the activity. So let's see. In June, I have the highest activity because that's the highest. It's 8. And I'll just take whatever mixed cost goes along with it. So we're just doing this based off of volume, not based off of the dollar amount. And then the lowest actually is right beside it. It's July because it's only 2 units. So the volume can always change. It could be different units. It could be really anything. And then the mixed costs can be a different account as well. So in this question, it's total shipping expense. Okay, so I've got my change in expense on top. So that's the change in your mixed cost. And then I have a change in activity on the bottom. So just remember, dollar amount on the top, activity on the bottom. So if I do 2,700 minus 1,200, that's the difference between the 27 and the 1,200. That's the dollar amounts on the top. And then the bottom will be 8 minus 2 because that is the volume. So let's try this out. So 2,700 minus 1,200 gives me 1,500 for the top. And then 8 minus 2, oh, I have to say equals 8 minus 2 if I want Excel to do math for me, is 6 on the bottom. And I always like to put a dollar amount on the top just to remind me it's a dollar amount. So if I do 15 and I divide that by 6, then my variable cost, put this to 2 decimal places, is 250. So that is in the formula y equals a plus bx. That is our b. So I'll just say b equals 250. In step 2, we're just going to find the fixed cost at either the high or low activity level. And I'm just going to show you how to do it both ways. You only need to do it one way because remember, the definition of a fixed cost means that it doesn't change even when activity goes up and down. So that's why we can do this at both levels. Okay, let's start with the high level. My total shipping expenses at a level of 8, that's high, is 2,700. Now my variable cost is the 250 that we calculated above multiplied by the volume, which is 8 units at the high. So the 8 is just from right there. So if I do 250 and I multiply that by 8, then I get 2,000. And if I subtract the variable cost from the mixed cost, then the difference is fixed. And just remember, a mixed cost only has 2 components, a fixed portion and a variable portion. So whatever isn't variable, it has to be fixed. Whatever isn't fixed, it has to be variable. There's no other way that we're classifying the costs. Let's just double check our work just to make sure that we calculated that properly. So we're going to do it at the low. And maybe I'll tell you what letter this is. So y equals a plus bx. We just calculated the fixed cost, which is the a in the cost formula. Okay, So total shipping expenses at the low level is $1,200, so it's just right here. And then my variable cost is taking your variable cost that we calculated in step 1, multiplying it by the volume at the low level, which is 2, and that's given to us. So 250 times 2. And then if we subtract the variable cost from the shipping, so 1,200 minus 500, that gives us 700. So both of them gave us the same fixed cost, so I know I did this right. Okay, so we calculated the variable part, we calculated the fixed part, and again, these two are dollar amounts. So step 3 is put together the cost formula. So I like to just repeat the cost formula, so y equals a plus bx. So I have that memorized. And remember, y is your mixed cost. So that is these numbers here, the 18, the 23, the 17, the 2000, the 23, the 27, the 12. A is your fixed cost, and that's what we calculated to be the 700. B is your variable cost, and that's what we calculated in step 1 to be 250. And then X is your volume. So that would be the 3, 6, 4, 5, 7, 8, 2. That's the volume in this question. So I don't know what my mixed costs are, but I did calculate the A, so that's 700. And I did calculate the B of 250. And then we don't know the volume at X. So this question doesn't have a step 4, but what they could do is they could tell us the mixed cost, and then we could calculate the volume at that mixed cost, or they can tell us the volume, and then we could tell them the mixed cost based off of that volume. So that's why we like to put the cost formula together, because then we can take any volume or any mixed cost and split the variable and fixed. Then you can do your cost volume profit analysis by putting together your contribution margin income statement, maybe doing some break-even analysis, maybe even looking at your leverage. But this is the first step in order to segregate them.